Welcome back to Kryptolytix, giving you a fresh take on crypto analytics. Today we're going to talk about a few indicators and strategies that I have created. They're modified versions of strategies that I've been using for years, but I never had the opportunity to really backtest them because they were kind of made by other people. But thanks to ChatGPT, just about anyone can be a programmer. So what I've been able to do is turn a lot of these indicators that I've used for years and make them strategies, which can be backtested. And I've spent weeks now backtesting 3 across multiple time frames, across many different cryptocurrencies. And I would say I've probably looked at about 2,000 charts and backtested these strategies. That is multiple time frames, individual coins, each individual time frame being a specific chart. And the results are amazing. I've been able to modify the backtest date range as well, because what you'll find with a lot of these videos where they're like ChatGPT Trading Strategy is that they're actually backtesting all the way back to the start of time. And I'll show you what I've worked out basically to restrict that and also to make sure that you're not getting false expectations. Because with a lot of the other videos on YouTube about ChatGPT trading strategies and bots and stuff like that, which this is pretty much one of those, they don't actually restrict the amount of time that's measured. So if you want to just test 1 year, like work out the year-over-year performance of one of these strategies, there's actually no simple way to do it. But I've been able to figure out the code in Pinescript in order to restrict the backtest limit. So I guess long and short is what I'm saying is careful of a lot of these videos where they show you like 9,000% returns from this ChatGPT trading bot. Well, unfortunately, that's not realistic because when you think about it, for example, with Bitcoin, we're not going to get those sorts of percentages ever again like what we had back 10 years ago. So let's get into the video and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, remember to like the video on the way in and comment if you find this helpful, and let me know down in the comments if you've made any strategies yourself using ChatGPT. I'd love to hear your results, and hopefully I can show you how you can also add some time restrictions to your backtesting so that you can basically just test how we fared in the last year or just, since the start of the bear market, for example. So I'll just quickly go over everything first as it is. I guess first off, we've got this chart here. This is just my standard chart that I'm using now for all of these different strategies. And I'm using 3 different indicators to work out what the best strategy is for each time frame. So I've got the Kryptolytix lines, which is an indicator that I've modified based on a free one that someone put out there. And these are all basically modified based on previously existing indicators, but I've modified them enough, I figured, to give them my own name. So we've got a PSAR trend, which is modified. So if you look at the normal PSAR, you'll find that this triggers differently. This is way better for crypto, in my opinion, these settings. And also I've added things like the beginning backtest range. So I'm backtesting basically to the start of the bear market, which is back in March. And I'm just going off a $1,000 account, but we're working on percentages for this. You can also, I guess, look at compounding by using equity. And that's what I think a lot of people are doing, is they're looking at, if you just go 100% of your equity each time, that's how you get these crazy numbers. And like, say, if I turn this off, for example, well, then you could see the percentages like 100%. But another thing that people aren't turning on, and I think that it's kind of worth also doing, is this little button here, which is buy and hold equity. So this is comparing your strategy to if you just bought and held at the same time. And I think that's important because if, for example, just buying and holding outperforms your strategy, then what's the point in even doing it? You could just save all of the stress and just buy and hold and literally not do anything else. So buy and hold equity is a good one to put on. We're going to go to the backtest range here, and we're just going to make sure that this is set to just $1,000 trade sizes each time. which is, you know, pretty reasonable. I feel like if you're growing your account, then you're going to start off with higher risk, and then your account grows in size, then your risk becomes less and less. So a lot of people do compound though, and so it's definitely worth checking out. But that's the next screen here. So this is just properties. Each one of them have this, but I'm just going to set it to this for all of the indicators. And I've just got a my PSAR here, which also has a 21 smooth moving average. So if you so wish, on the breakout, you can put your orders, you know, above or below, depending on which direction you're in. If you're going long and the signal flip is here, then you can just put your, say for it went triggered here, and you wanted to try and catch the retrace to the 21, because it often happens, especially with Solana, and you'll want to backtest to see if it does retest and maybe make a note for yourself. Or you could also use it as, if it breaks out and doesn't hold, then you could be a bit more aggressive with your stop loss, essentially. Or if it breaks out, for example, and it doesn't close below, then maybe you don't take it and then you wait for it to actually close below. But yeah, obviously that will affect the end result here, so you won't actually get exactly this. But yeah, you can see there's obviously going to be a few up and down. That's what brings us to down here, I guess, as well. So we've got net profit here. So that's what the net profit is for the entire backtested date range. So you can see for Solana on the 2 hour for the PSAR trend was 283% profit. Pretty good during a bear market. And you can see buy and hold equities just fallen off a cliff there. So you basically lost, you know, 95%, 90% of your worth if you were to do this. Whereas if you were to trade this instead, well, this is what you get. The next thing here we have is the percent profitable. So I call this the win rate percentage. And that's on the spreadsheet here, which I'll go over in a second. And then the other factor as well that's worth mentioning is the maximum drawdown. So that's showing during these times where you get these losses, how much does it take away? And you want to really minimize this for, the main reason is because if you're getting into a strategy, you know, later on, which we're literally getting in, we're not getting in a year ago, we're getting in now. You kind of want to minimize this as much as possible, because if it's got like, you know, 5,000% returns, but the drawdown was 97% at some point, that's dreadful, because what that means is if you're getting in to this strategy during one of those periods where price action's doing that, then that means you're going to get wrecked before you even get a chance to make any profit. So that's why it's quite dangerous. So really minimizing this number is ideal, because, you know, we are back testing here. So, and then the other thing is these purple bars here are the max drawdown. You can just turn that off using this button here. It's kind of nice to see when it's drawing down so badly. So the Kryptolytix lines is just basically a couple of moving averages. Once they cross and they stay crossed for a certain period of time, then it flips into a long position or a short position accordingly, because this goes both ways. So these little arrows up the top here on this indicate where that is. And also you can see, as this is a strategy, that the short position, for example, was here. This is not where it started, because the signal, the trade only takes place on the instance of the first one of these arrows. So for example, for this long position, it was down here at $11 for Sol. And then the short position was up here. And you can see that went up to 94%, which is pretty good. So Sol is probably one of my favorites. Also Phantom has been really good. But yeah, I'm gonna go through everything else quickly first. So that's the Kryptolytix lines. And you can see here, we'll just quickly look, you've got 2 EMAs and then an average true range modifier. Here's the start test for the range. We're just gonna leave that as default. I've changed these colors, but I've got the default colors to the default candle colors in the indicator. And I'm going to actually leave a link to these indicators in the description below. They'll just be Pinescript, so you'll need to make a new script, and then you'll basically need to copy and paste that, and then it'll be a strategy. And from there you can save it. And then, yeah, because I don't think I can publish these, because if I publish these, there's a chance they'll just get taken down. I'm not really sure. I'll have to read the community guidelines, but if I do publish them, then I will also leave a link to those in the description below. So we've just got the buy and sell signals, and that's pretty much all you need to know about this. So, and then you can see down here, once we select it, it gives us the performance and the strategy tester. Now this had a 44% rough drawdown over the course of this, only 147% return, and the win rate was only 35%, which is okay, because a lot of the time you go through these choppy periods where you get, you know, tiny loss, tiny loss, tiny loss, big win, right? So that's 3 losses and then 1 big win that absorbs those and then makes you more. So that's kind of the thing you got to factor about that. So if you look at the percentage profitable, yeah, this is what you want to look at when you're really comparing a strategy, and it's how much profit you actually make from it. Because yeah, it does get frustrating as well when you get chopped out, admittedly, and that usually happens during consolidation periods where, for example, this would be so annoying to be in, to be honest. So the Kryptolytix lines didn't perform very well in this time frame, but if we have a look at the Sol table on the 1 hour, for example, you can see it actually did perform pretty well. Only 25% odd drawdown, 40s roughly % for profitable, and our return is about 200% over the course of the last year, which is pretty good. But again, there's these choppy periods that would get quite frustrating. If we have a look here. Now, the other thing about the Max Drawdown that I'm going to sort of say is, and again, just remember, none of the information in this video is financial advice. It's up to you what you do with this information. But if I were trading this, I actually would be putting my stop loss, say for example here, up the top of this candle, and then probably moving it closer to entry, so that basically you're actually preventing yourself from this 17% loss, for example. And if you went long here, then, well, this is not a good strategy anyway compared to the PSAR. But if you were following this, then, you know, you'd probably want to be exercising better risk management, for example, because, you know, it gets in you at the top here, which is pretty annoying, and then just retraces back against you. And finally, I will just show the last one, which is the VMC EMA ribbon. And what this is a modification of the market cipher indicator, where it's just this blue band. Now the blue band, just so you're aware, is an EMA ribbon, and it looks like this usually. But rather than this ribbon that's quite offensive and takes up a lot of real estate on the chart, what I've done is I've actually condensed it into a simple line, which is this here. So this here just shows when things are bullish and when things are bearish. And this is roughly the 21 smooth moving average as well. Give or take a little, but it's roughly. So if there's a couple closes above or below this, that's when the candle color changes. So, but it is based on an EMA ribbon, basically. Now these can be converted into indicators as well that you can use in, say, for example, like 3 commas bot. And the way you would do that is you just change the strategy into a indicator using the Pine editor. And this is the Pinescript editor here. So the way you would turn it into a indicator is you replace the word strategy here with indicator, and then you have to remove the strategy text here. So you would remove this text here, and you would remove this here. And if you get any errors, you can just use ChatGPT to help you with that. Now there are a bunch of videos out there, people telling you how to use ChatGPT for Pinescript. So I don't think I'm going to really get into that because I've literally done all the work for you. As I said in the intro, about 2,000 plus charts, maybe going on almost 3,000 after I tested all the extras down the bottom. So I guess the thing is I've kind of done the work for you, but obviously based on this video, you could just go and backtest your own tickers to see if any of these strategies work for you. Okay, I'm going to cover the spreadsheet now. And again, I'm going to leave a link to this spreadsheet in the description below. So feel free to check this out. Let's just make this full screen so we can go over it. And then I'm going to shrink it and put it on the side again once we're done looking at it. So this spreadsheet here is my strategy tester. And you can see here the keys at the top. So KL is the Kryptolytix lines. PSAR is the parabolic SAR strategy, and then VMC is, well, as I mentioned prior, is the Fu Manchu based ribbon as a band. And you can see it doesn't perform as well. In some circumstances it does okay, but the best I've found are the Kryptolytix lines and the PSAR. Now this little box here, this green one that says up only, what I've done in each one of these cryptocurrency tables is I've highlighted one in green, which I believe is the best of all of the different strategies across all the time frames. And this is based on a number of factors. The main one is the returns, but also I factored in the win rate and the maximum drawdown. MD means max drawdown, just so you're aware. And I've also put the date here. This is the date range that I'm backtesting all of this with. And this little chart here is a quick visual representation, so you could glance over and look at, hey, which one actually performed the best in this time frame, and then that's the strategy that it uses. It's just a little bit below the bar. I tried to shift it up, but I couldn't, so it's the limitation we have when we use free software, that is Google Sheet. But yeah, another thing I'm going to draw your attention to is this is the full back-tested range. Now, if you did the full back-tested range on Bitcoin, for example, well, you're looking at like 16,000% or something crazy. This is all using OKX data. I should also preface this with, which only goes back to 2019. But if you were to use like Binance or some older exchange, well, this would go like to 16,000, but there's no way we're going to get those sorts of returns again on Bitcoin. So it's just absurd when you see all these people go, oh, 70,000% on Bitcoin using this trading strategy. No, it's not going to happen. There's too much money in Bitcoin now, so you're not going to get those sorts of returns, which is why I've got this restricted date range here that I've coded into the strategies. And I think that's very important, because otherwise you're not really getting a good idea of it's great for clickbait. Hey, great for clickbait. Putting in like 1,000,000% returns on this indicator, blah, blah, blah. But then also a lot of the time they're not looking at the buy and hold equity, for example. So I'm going to show you something quickly just to prove my point. So if I go to here, turn this off, 2-day Bitcoin chart, and we're going to go to the PSAR, because it's probably the better of all of them. Turn off the back-tested range, so it's all time. And we're just going to try and inflate this and make it look ludicrous, right? So it's just like, oh, this is amazing. You're going to retire and, you know, have billions of dollars. Okay, so this is the PSAR 2-day. We can even go 3-day, because that, I think, would yield better results. That's 2.4 million%. Yeah, we're going to go 3-day, which is a good trend based, you know, it's quite nice. Look at this, 3-day PSAR, which broke out over here. Very, very good back-tested results, okay? Yeah. So this is compounding as well. But look at the buy and hold equity. If you just bought and held, I mean, this is all the way back to the beginning of time, so, you know, maybe it's not that relevant, but if you just bought and held back in, where does this go back to? Properties. 2010, which is what a lot of these strategies are testing. They're like back testing all the way back to the beginning of time, which is crazy. Like no one was really buying Bitcoin back then. So, you know, you see this strategy, like this is great for clickbait. Great for clickbait. In fact, I should just do the video like that, but that's not how I work. But yeah, so it's just like 2.5 million% on Bitcoin, you know? I don't think so. That's absolutely ludicrous. And look at the drawdown, 200%. But yeah, if you look at buy and hold equity, you would have done better just by buying and holding Bitcoin all the way back here. So there's another thing as well. People don't turn that on. Look at this drawdown, that's terrible. When did that happen? Yeah, back here, when there was less money in Bitcoin. But there's another good reason to restrict it as well, because now it just looks a lot better now. So if we just change this to 2017, for example, and then turn this restriction on, okay. Still a massive drawdown somewhere. That would be very frustrating. Anyway, I think you get the idea. Oh wait, that's not being tested. So you can see where it's actually taken the trades, which is here. So anyway, it's more like 1,000%, for example. If you started in 2017 using the PSAR, like I did, I've been using the parabolic SAR strategy since 2018, actually, not 17. But so yeah, I took this trade, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you got to understand that Bitcoin's not going to move these kinds of percentages again. It's just not going to happen. But anyway, let's not dig too much into this. I just want to see how things perform during the bear market, because that's kind of what I care about more, is how everything performed during the bear, which according to this indicator was back in November. Wow, you know, if only we all saw that back then, but then this was also a bearish trend as well. But anyway, so this is just really quite nice to see you know, when we're at the end of our bull market. Jan, that's accurate. At the end of the bear market, yep, that's accurate. March, etc., etc. So anyway, I won't belabor this point anymore, but I'm just saying, I'm not going to try and hyperinflate these figures and make things just sound crazy, because it's just not realistic. So if you have a look here, this is the amount of days that it backtests if you don't restrict it. So we've got the 15-minute goes back 128 days. That's pretty reasonable. So that's within the date range that I really care about. 1 hour, that's fine. That's within the date range I care about. But then we go to 2 hour, that's going back to 2020. So that's, yeah, that's not that helpful. 4 hour, it's going back to 2018. I mean, the market's a completely different beast now than it was back then. There's so much more money in it. There's more institutional traders. There's more professional traders in it. This is kind of pointless, like 2018. And then we're going even further on the 8 hour, 14, 10, 10. I mean, that's just the beginning of time for Bitcoin anyway, right? For the Bitcoin index chart. So this is what I'm saying, like, this is absolutely crazy and completely pointless. You don't really care about these dates. Anything within this period, it's kind of irrelevant, to be honest. It's actually very irrelevant. So this is why we restrict the data range, and why we can probably just ignore all of these, but they're just like a nice little reference as well. So you can see, you know, you can quickly look over and be like, hey, what's SOL been like since the beginning of time? Well, the 12-hour Kryptolytix lines was 671. Well, actually 12-hour Kryptolytix lines was only 80%. So yeah, and that's this is the bear market performance to now. So we're gonna hide all of that because we don't really need to see it. I'm just gonna make this a bit smaller so we can get more chart on the screen. But yeah, this table's just quite nice just to quickly look and see like, ooh, what's this? This jumps out. This is the graph 2 hour. But then you have a look. I think that even though this is the one that's with the most, I've gone for this one because it's got a higher win rate and it's still about the same amount of profit. So anyway, let's just keep going with this. That's what this spreadsheet is. And the color coding here, I should say, is, yeah, max drawdown 8%. The lower this number is, the greener this is. And then the higher the win rate is, the greener it is as well. So I feel like that makes sense. So yeah, again, just to cover this, the lower this number is, and this is color dependent on the set, just so you know. And also you'll notice in some circumstances I've just left this. These are the different time frames. I've left some of these out so they don't take up space in the chart here. But yeah, this is 1 minute. This is 5 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour, 12 daily. So that makes sense. And then this is which strategy was the best in that time frame, and then the returns, so on and so forth. So hopefully that makes sense now. And I've got this little lookup table down the bottom that's like best in category, and then the median. So the median is basically, so we don't there's no point in using an average because average takes into consider the count of the numbers. What a median does is it just finds the middle point of a data set. So the middle number of any given data set, regardless of the count. So that's why we're using medians to calculate this. So if you're looking for a strategy for a particular ticker that you like the look of, and you're, say for example, you know, you really wanted to trade band, for example, and you look at, say, the 2 hours, probably the best median time frame for all of them, and you're like, well, 17, yeah, that's not so bad, I guess, whatever. And you have a look at the median here. Well, the median 2 hours is 133%. So what's the point in even touching this? Like, I wouldn't even bother touching that. It's not worth it. So the median basically is a point of reference that shows across all data sets, what's the sort of average, but not average, but you know what I mean, the average figure for returns. So if you're below this, there's no point. I would just find something else. And if you're above this, then it's above the average performance across all data sets. So that's what the median is, and that's just down the bottom of the sheet. And lastly, there's just this quick little one here, this little table here, which is just a bunch of extra tokens, which I have also gone through each one of the time frames on each of the charts and checked each of the strategies and picked the best out of all of them. And also, when I say best, I also like to look at the shape of the performance. So for example, looks rare PSAR 4 hour. It's not the best here. Actually, it's 47% drawdown. That's pretty bad. Let's have a quick look, make sure we're restricted. Yep. Yeah, it's a different figure to what I've got here on the sheet. Oh yeah, that's right. We've got compounding turned on, so let's just fix that up. So just $1,000 each time. Yeah. And if you've got a bigger account size, you can go 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, whatever it is that you trade, you can just modify that accordingly. So that makes more sense. 16% drawdown. It's way more reasonable. I just like the shape of this. It's up, maybe give a little back, up, give a little back, up, kind of goes sideways, gives a bunch back, you know. I'm sure this is like a series of trades that were just basically, you know, went long, price went against you, went short. You know, it's kind of like that. That's kind of what this usually works out being. But only 16% drawdown, that's not too bad. And 52% profitable, that's not too bad. It's just overall the shape, it just looks really nice. Up only, right? Up only. Compared to buy and hold equity, well, yeah, I don't think you would be very happy. You'd just be sitting on your hands with this one. So that's why I've got Looks Rare in here. And I've also got Ren, I've got Aave, RSR, Sell, ETC Balancer, so on and so forth. These are the kind of the best, I guess. Like Looks Rare right now, PSAR on the 4 hour, that's already broken out. So, you know, if you want, you could get into this one. Not financial advice, but I mean, this was really nice. And then again, you know, you can probably protect yourself from some of these losses just by putting your stop loss. Like if it does run, for example, if it does run, then you could probably put your stop loss at entry. So then, you know, it stops you out here, and then you save yourself from losing 14%. So that's pretty good. So you can basically better protect yourself against these losses. So just by basically, if it starts to run and you're up, say 17%, it's pretty nice. Just put your stop loss at entry. And yeah, it might take you out if you do that. So I think the entry was there. It took you out there, which is would be annoying. Maybe it goes there, or maybe you just put it like just below here. But again, you're saving yourself 6% by getting stopped out at entry. And just understand that some of these lower time frames, you're just going to get wicked out if you put your stop loss too close. So you just factor that in. Like for me, when I'm setting my stop losses, I'll go to a higher time frame to kind of look at structure and then go based on that, because crypto does deviate pretty hard sometimes, like, and you know, wick past your entry. If your entry was like here, and then let's just pretend that price actually did like this instead, and your entry was here. This is quite typical, like for a deviation, wick down to collect liquidity and then go up. It's very annoying, but this is what happens in the market. It's very common. So anyway, let's go through some of these results, shall we? Just so you can see, you know, what's performed the best. And for example, let's just start here with, now I haven't got a thing for Bitcoin because I'm just really not happy with any of the performance for Bitcoin. 77%, this one's 80% on the 8-hour PSAR. It's not bad, but there's just better results for other tickers. So let's go to the 2-hour PSAR, 2-hour PSAR. Now I actually have alerts set up for all of these. And you can set alerts just by clicking this, and then you just type in the time frame. So like ETH 2H PSAR, for example, and then I just copy this, and then I just grab all this guff here and then replace it like that. And that'll give you an alert to go long and to short in one alert. Now remember, in the cheaper Tradingview, you get 20 alerts max. So I've literally got all of these in here that are giving me both buy and sell signals. And I couldn't usually do that in the past. You know, I usually had one for buy, one for sell. And it's just like, this way you can have a lot more. So this is great for this, but if you want to turn your strategy into a bot, I think you need to use studies, but I'm going to do a bit more research on that in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much what you can do to set up an alert for yourself. So yeah, 2-hour PSAR, I'm in this position right now. I actually, let's see, the entry was here. I actually ended on the 21 period, which is the white line. So I even got like an extra like 0.5%, whoop-de-doo. And yeah, so I'm in this trade right now. Now, remember, I've got all 3 indicators on. So if you think that it's kind of noisy, then yeah, just turn it off, the unnecessary ones, so you can just see a clean sort of breakout. You know, so when this flips here, the PSAR, then this line goes down below and starts tracking up. And this finds the most recent wick to the downside in terms of structure, and then starts to draw up. And then basically any close below this line, so even if it wicks past and then closes here, well, that'll turn into a sell, which is where the signal is. But yeah, remember, this is all measuring where the signal is. So you can sometimes get a little bit of extra percentage, like by doing that, 0.5% in this case. I'm going to be honest with you. You're going to get these sometimes, and they're just going to frustrate the hell out of you. So you're going to be like, it goes long, and then it stops, and then it puts you down here, and then it stops like up here. So you make like a 3% loss, and then you go long here, and then it stops you here, and then you're like, I give up. I'm not touching this anymore. This thing's not working. And then you make all of that back, you know? That's what happens a lot with this. You sort of like, and that's the reason why I've done this back testing, right? Because before this, like, you're kind of just guessing. You're like, I don't know, do these strategies work? Do they not? I don't really know. Like, it looks good. And this is kind of annoying. It looks good, but you've literally got back tested results here. And again, I'm only restricting it to 1 year of price action. And I picked March again because that's kind of when the bear market started. Well, technically, I guess you could say it started in November. If you look at the 3-day PSAR, but anyway, basically March was that retest, that next attempt to get back up, and failure, and then basically rejection. So again, this is relevant information, relevant data. But yeah, I mean, this would be very frustrating. I'm gonna be honest. This would have really annoyed me. But yeah, I mean, you know, you get 7%, 11%, 2%. I mean, this is such small numbers on ETH. But yeah, again, over the course of a year, that's kind of what you want, right? You want the performance to be good. Now, the reason why like ETH is not as impressive, I have to admit, is just because when you look at stuff like Sol looks great on pretty much every time frame, and so does Phantom. But yeah, look at this. It's just beautiful. 20% drawdown. Yeah, that would be annoying. That'd be some choppy sideways price action, 100%. Definitely going to happen. Like this, man, that would be so annoying. But again, you can protect yourself from some of this. So say here, well, it's still a profit. Here, which I believe is this candle close here. That would be like a break even. But again, like if you're using your stop loss like here, for example, then you get a little bit of extra profit, stuff like that. Just be mindful of where you're putting your stop loss as well, regardless. But yeah, if you put your stop loss at the structure, then yeah, like you get a slightly better position here. Anyway, I just recommend you backtest and look and figure out where you would want to put your stop loss for these. But yeah, this is a 2-hour PSAR. So again, just really good performance, but still we get this stuff, which is very annoying. And the period of time between each of these signals is like a day in this case. But like you get nice runs like this, which go for, you know, 7 days. That's a whole week, 5 days, you know, so on and so forth. So Phantom, 4-hour, Phantom here. So I'm actually going to go here because I can just literally click on each one because I've set up an alert for it. So Phantom 4-hour, that's already I've bought this. I bought this yesterday. It's only up 7% and it went underwater for a bit. I actually went down to the lower time frame, went down to 15 minutes and got it on the 21 retest. Now, I like the 21 and this is the full, all the smooth moving averages. But yeah, I got it on the 21 retest on the 15 minute. So yeah, this is where I actually bought. So the signal was here and I bought it here. So that's an option as well. I wouldn't recommend waiting for the retest every time though. Like you know, if you're already in a few longs, then maybe you can be a bit more patient. Like I missed a lunar long and that was all the way down the bottom because I was just like, I'll just wait for a retest. Didn't happen. Just shot off without me. I'll show you that in a sec. So yeah, I mean, 15-minute retest I think is reasonable, to be honest. So the signal would have been there. So then you get an extra 4%. It's really not worth complaining about that. That's great, 4%. And that's reducing your risk as well. So yeah, but then you just might not get into it. But if you're in a short and you're flipping your position, I would probably just close it when it tells you. And then if you want to wait for a retest, go, because you know, there's a chance it might just run and then, you know, you'll lose all your profit basically. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to do this or not. I like the idea of it personally. So let's go back 4-hour. How cool is that? Just how clean this is. I mean, you get this, which is kind of annoying. Really like Phantom on the PSAR. You know, we got GRT, which is the 12-hour PSAR, which I believe hasn't flipped yet. That's coming soon. So GRT is another really clean one, especially because it's 12 hours. You get some of this stuff, which is super annoying. But again, if you're able to figure out where to put your stop losses, you can actually reduce some of this drawdown. That's pretty bad, really, if you think about it. Like, good win rate, great win rate. then your drawdown's pretty bad. So yeah, the graph has been quite clean, quite nice. It's going to hide these smooth moving averages, and you can if you want take some profit at some of these. For example, I took some profit on Matic. We'll just go to Matic for a second. I took some profit on Matic on the 1 hour 200, which is here. We'll just go 2 hour. That's there, right? So I entered actually down here. To be honest, I actually didn't enter on the exact flip. I entered a little bit below it because I was kind of caught up in the USDC debacle. But then after I was done selling all my USDC into Solana, I was like, okay, I guess I'm kind of good to go now. And by the time that happened, price was already down here. So yeah, you can find other levels to sort of take profit on. But yeah, I took some profit on my Matic trade. And if we get a pullback, maybe I'll re-enter what I actually removed off, which will actually improve things a bit, or give me a better like average entry, if you will. This is the APT for our PSAR. Again, very good performance, but you know, get some crappy drawdown here. But yeah, 60% win rate. It's incredible. Again, this data doesn't go back very far though, I have to admit. It only goes back to like October last year, so yeah. Who knows what this is going to look like in a year time. But regardless, the buy signal was here, and I got in on the 200 retest, which was here. So now, I've got an extra 2.4%, 2.5%, which again is reducing the risk. Now it's done this and made a higher high. I've actually moved my stop loss because when I initially set this stop loss, I did, so I guess I can just show this. There it is there. And I put my stop loss, I think initially to here, but now it's here. And I'm just going to keep moving that up. We get another leg up. And again, I don't want to put my stop loss like on the 21 because it could just wick down there, touch, and then go back up. So I like to use the 21s as protection and just kind of put it a little bit below it. So like, yeah, I would have put it here at the start. As things moved up, we got another leg up to the upside. Then I've kind of moved it here. So again, you know, it can go past 21 a bit, reject the support, sorry, in this case, and then come back up. So yeah, I'm in this Aptos long. Again, it's pretty kind of late, unfortunately. Some of these are really late, and some of these get you in nice and early, like this Atom trade, for example. This is the 4-hour PSAR. Yes, the 2-hour PSAR, sorry. Yeah. This one is an example of one that I didn't get into immediately, but after I was like happy with what I did with USDC and all that, then I was able to get in a little bit later. And sometimes you are able to do that, and it's nice when you can. But yeah, this is, and then now that it's printed all these highs, I've actually moved my stop loss to here. So again, protected by the 21, and there's this structure here as well. So now this is just in profit regardless, and it just means that, you know, if it does flash crash for whatever reason, I don't know why it would, but if it does, you know, and say it closes here, well, I've protected 5%. I just like to move the stop losses up, especially with these big moves. Because for example, with, you know, I had a short open for CFX, and that short was for, let's have a look, see it here in the list. Have a quick look here. The 4-hour PSAR looks like the best performer. But also the 1-hour KLs. Let's have a look here. 1-hour Kryptolytix lines. Oof. That drawdown is 60%. That's dreadful. Very, very bad. So PSAR, it was. I actually shorted this. Where was it? About here? Should be on the chart actually. Yeah, here it is. That's where I opened up my short for CFX. And then, so I didn't have this strategy back tested last week or back in Feb. So, you know, if I saw this, probably would have taken that. It's been quite nice, 30% roughly. And so, yeah, I mean, if I just followed this blindly, well, I wouldn't have made any profit, but I put my stop loss down here. So actually I made 16%, which was pretty nice. I didn't get back into it though. And yeah, it's up 40%, but that's what you get. But yeah, anyway, I was preoccupied with all the others. I'm actually in a whole bunch at the moment. I'm in ADA, Waves, APT, Phantom, Luna, AVAX, Sol. I usually just trade 1 or 2 tickers at most, right? But thanks to this, I know what works and what doesn't, and so I can just literally just trade. And these take days to play out as well. And it's just periodically checking all the positions that are open, which I use OKX. So I can just literally click this, and see all of my positions in here, where they are, what the profit is, all that sort of stuff. I don't have it connected on this computer because my trading computer is over there, but yeah, you get the idea. Again, the indicators will be in the description below. I'll just have them in a document, which you can just copy out and then paste it into your Pinescript editor. And you can basically, you know, just say for example, you can click here, open new strategy, and that's it there. And you can just copy the whole script and then paste it here. Paste it in, and then you can just grab this here. Oh, it's already there. Once you save it, it'll just replace this here. So that's how you pop it into your chart. And then again, like this is just the code for the time restriction, and the actual strategy itself is here. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, just leave them in the comments below. And, you know, backtest these on some of your favorite digital assets, because some of them, you know, some of them work quite well and some of them don't. And then you got 3 different strategies to work with and play with to see if they work for you or not. So it's worth kind of checking some that are available to you that might not be to me. But yeah, this spreadsheet you'll find again in the link in the description below. And I will periodically update this. They won't all be perfect because you have to remember that like this is all manually entered data, and I'm just using it as a quick lookup and a reference. And if I'm going to be trading one of these strategies, for example, then I'm going to be looking at the backtested results. All the links to everything are in the description below. So yeah, I've spent all this time putting this together. I hope this video wasn't too long. I guess it probably was, but because my problem is I just want to be verbose and make sure that you've got all the information. So that way, you know, you can see that I'm not just doing some clickbait just to sort of draw you in for content. I'm actually trying to help you. I'm trying to give you proper backtested results for each of these strategies and not give you fake information, you know, because again, backtesting to the start of time is just rubbish, completely irrelevant, right? It doesn't make sense to do that. So that's why we limit the amount of time that it's testing. So yeah, like you want to look for the greens, like where all the greens line up. It's good. I mean, this is not bad. On QTE, for example, 17%. Not a lot of data to play with though. Remember, the longer the data you have to backtest, kind of the better, because then you can see how it performed during the bear market. So I hope this helped you. If it did, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment down below if you've got any questions, and subscribe if you liked it too, because that's great for me, great for the algorithm. And if you want to sign up for OKX, I've left a affiliate link down below. And again, like this is completely free and open source. I kind of just want to help people, and that's why I've got all this backtesting, you know, time restrictions and all this sort of stuff. That way I'm not just doing clickbait stuff. I'm actually trying to show real solid information here and how all of these performed during the bear market, because, you know, having everything back to the beginning of time doesn't really make any sense. So I guess the affiliate link is like, you know, maybe you can help me for helping you. And remember, OKX, you can actually trade from within Tradingview. You just connect your exchange to Tradingview, and that way you can just operate these strategies straight from within your charts. So you don't have to ever even look. I never even look at the interface for OKX. So yeah, the affiliate link you'll find below. You don't have to use it, but I would appreciate it if you did, because I don't have any ad revenue for YouTube. Not that it matters. I literally just want to give this information out for free because I love open source and I love helping and I love sharing knowledge and information with people. It's just, you know, can't help but like to do that. So anyway, again, like, comment, subscribe if you could please. That would be great. Yeah, again, none of this is financial advice. And yeah, make sure you do all your back testing, and you know, you can test the entire period of time or restrict it to whatever date you want. That's completely up to you. That way you can basically work out what strategies work best within the time frame that you believe is relevant. So yeah, keep safe, peace out. This is Kryptolytix signing out. All the best. Have a good one.